Hi, I am Murat Polat. Today I would like to talk about internet social media device addiction affecting friendships negatively. Before I start my speech, I would like to ask you a few questions. Do you spend a lot of time thinking about social media or planning to use social media? Do you feel urges to use social media more and more? Do you use internet to forget about personal problems? Do you often try to reduce use of social media without success? Do you become restless or terrible if unable to use social media? Do you use social media so much that it has had a negative impact on your job or studies? If you answered yes to more than three of these questions, then you may have or be developing a social media or internet addiction. In my speech today, I will explain how technology, the internet, and social media addiction affecting our lives and relationships negatively. I will talk about what this addiction is, how did we become addict, my own point of view, examples from myself and around me, what needs to be done, and my solutions. As a former social media and phone addict, I will tell you about the addiction. A few years ago, I was also addicted to these devices. I had been checking my phone almost every 10 minutes, and my life had been completely affected. My friends decreased day by day. I completely myself to computer games and the phone. I couldn't control myself, so my whole social life was over. At that time, I had no friends and I had a bad relationship with my family. Our little devices, those little devices in our pocket, are so psychologically powerful that they don't only change what we do, they change who we are. Checking and scrolling through the social media, emails, and our devices has become an increasingly popular activity over the last decade. It has affected every aspect of our lives, and these have become a part of our lives. We know that the technology and the technological devices that we use have many benefits, but they create some problems in people's relationships. Even though technology, social networks, and media seem they are bringing us closer to each other, but they are isolating us among ourselves. In today's world, people prefer to communicate with social networks and telephone rather than daily communications because we became addicted to these technological devices and social media. So, what does this addiction mean? How did we become addict? Let's see what's the answer. Social media addiction is a behavioral addiction that is characterized as a being overly concerned about social media, driven by an uncontrollable urge to log on to or use social media and devoting so much time and effort to social media that it impairs other important life areas. Addictive social media use will look much like that of any other substance use disorder, including mood modification, silence and tolerance, withdrawal symptoms, and conflict and relapse. The phenomena of the social media addiction can largely be contributed to the dopamine inducing social environments that social networking sites provide. Social media platforms such as Facebook, Snapchat, and Instagram produce the same neural circuitry that is caused by gambling and recreational drugs to keep consumers using their products as much as possible. Studies have shown that we have constant stream of reviews, likes, and shares from these sites have affected the brain's reward area to trigger the same kind of chemical reaction as other drugs, such as cocaine or other drugs. In fact, neuroscientists have compared social media interaction a syringe of dopamine being injected straight into the system. So, just to take some quick examples, people text or do email during corporate board meetings. They text and shop and go on Facebook during classes, during presentations, during all meetings. People talk to me about important new skills of making eye contact while I'm texting. People explain to me that it's hard, but it can be done. Parents text and do email at breakfast, at dinner, while their children complain about not having their parents' full attention. But then, these same children deny each other their full attention. Excessive social media use can not only cause unhappiness and a general dissatisfaction with life in users, but also increase the risk of developing mental health issues such as anxiety and depression. Constantly comparing oneself to others can lead to feelings of self-consciousness or a need for perfectionism and order, which often manifests itself into social anxiety disorder. According to addictioncenter.com, an estimated 27% of children who spend 3 or more hours a day in social media exhibit symptoms of poor mental health. Overuse of social networking sites is much more problematic in children and young adults because their brains and social skills are still developing. Research has shown that adolescents who habitually use social media from a young age have several standard social interaction skills. Despite the fact that the users are interacting with each other, these platforms, many of them don't necessarily translate to the real world. Studies have found that these individuals have worsened social anxiety in groups, higher rates of depression, negative body image, and lowered levels of empathy and compassion towards others when survived. While many people are able to use social media on a daily basis with no problem, those suffering from a social media addiction are consumed by their needs to use and engage on social networking sites. Luckily, the condition is very treatable and many have successfully recovered. Reducing screen time is a great way to combat problematic social media use. However, if the addiction is too severe, you may require professional help. In conclusion, technology is changing a friendship and taking control of our communications negatively. But we can solve this problem. We need to be conscious when we using technological tools and devices. We have each other. We must strive for technology to take us back to our lives, our bodies, our identities, our society, our politics, our planet. They need us. As Sherry Turkle said, we grew up with digital technology and so we see it all grown up. It's early days. There is plenty of time for us to reconsider how we use it, how we build it. I'm not suggesting that we turn away from our devices, just that we develop a more self-aware relationship with them, with each other, and with ourselves. Thank you for listening to me.